Y'all already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Today's story is not an easy story to talk about. Not only am I a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle. I have sisters, nieces. One of my nieces lives with me. I run a household of 7 people. That's what I'm responsible for daily. 7 people, including myself, live under my roof, and I take care of everyone under my roof. I couldn't imagine what I would do if somebody hurt one of them. If somebody violated one of the children or females under my roof. I can absolutely imagine what I would do if given the opportunity. There's no shame in that statement. What I would do wouldn't make me a monster. What I would do wouldn't make me a bad person or any less of a man. I think that as a human, as a brother, as a father, uncle, son, the outcome, if I could get my hands on that person, would make me human. Today we're going to speak on a man that got that opportunity. A man in Washington State named Shane Goldsby, who was placed in the cell with a man that violated his little sister, with an older man that was doing 40-some years for violating children. They put these two in a cell. We're going to speak on that, how they ended up in a cell together, the corruption that comes with that, what he ultimately did, and what the courts ultimately did to him. Show y'all some clips so that y'all can see everything that took place, so y'all can hear the words from his mouth, and then we'll get into my thoughts. I've done a lot of time with sick people, people that don't deserve to walk this earth, in my opinion. I do not think there is no rehabilitating someone that would do the things that this man did. And we'll get into my opinion. Unfortunately, y'all know I'd have seen it. Y'all know I'd have lived it. So let's relive it. The guy we're going to talk about today, Shane Goldsby, was in prison for 2 assaults. He was in prison for auto theft, eluding, took the police on a high-speed chase in one of their own SUVs. So they were big mad, and he got away from them on 2 different occasions. Now, pissed off the police would be if you stole one of their SUV cruisers, took them on a big-ass chase, and then escaped. Yeah, they're going to be mad when they catch you. They're going to whoop that ass. He finds himself in prison. And out west, it's way different than east. Anybody watch from the west, y'all know, y'all have heard how the east runs and how the west coast runs. On the west, they're big on politics. They have a lot of rules, things that we don't do out here. One of them being, if you're white, you're going to click with the white guys. If the white guys tell you to do something, you're going to do it, or they're going to do that to you. This guy was told to attack another inmate by his cellmate. He went to the guards, told him he feared for his life, and he was put in PC, protective custody. He would stay in protective custody for many years, but along the way, he was wilding out. Being in the hole long term will do that to you. It will make you act out, especially if you feel disrespected, like you've been lost in the system, like you're no longer human. You start to get treated like an animal. They won't give you the basic essentials you need. You act out. Along the way of his journey of being incarcerated, he kicked several of their asses. He beat several of the guards up and got shipped from place to place, place to place. You fast forward several years into his incarceration, and he's 2 years from going home. This whole incident occurs in 2020. In 2019, he said he gave his life to God. He had been staying out of trouble. He was supposed to serve the rest of his sentence in PC. Once you've been X'd out and you didn't follow an order, any main line you end up on, any yard you end up on, that reputation is going to follow you. Guys are going to stab you, beat you, You're the lowest of the low next to a snitch or a child predator, right? You're more or less a traitor. He somehow gets put back in, somewhat of a general population, back on the main line. They stick this man in the cell with the man that had violated, and y'all know what I mean when I say violated his baby sister, his little sister. They put him face to face with this man in the cell. Number one, that should have never happened. Number two, he went to them. The guy told him what he had done, gave him details about what he had done. He went to the guards and said, y'all need to move me out that cell immediately, letting them know what the guy had done. So they were aware of this, and they did nothing about it. Let's get into it.
Shane Goldsby, and today he'll appear before a judge to enter his plea. He's accused of beating his cellmate and his little sister's rapist, 70-year-old Robert Munger, to death. Goldsby told KHQ that before he killed his cellmate, he had asked to be moved to a new cell, but the prison, he says, denied his request. The Department of Corrections has a policy specifically to avoid this kind of scenario, preventing inmates from being paired together if they have a history. We asked how this could have happened, and the DOC said in a statement that it's investigating the situation and cooperating with law enforcement.
Goldsby's happened at all, okay? You talking this dude that did some sick, twisted things to my little sis, okay? And you want to put me face to face with this dude, okay?
It sounds like this guy was like egging you on, right? He was like giving you details and like he was like,
yeah, he was mentally fucking putting like video, like images of what he was doing in my head.
What took you over the edge to just
when he told me what he did, when he was about the photos, about the videos, and about
it's your little sister, bro.
I'm talking about my little sis, dude,
I feel that, man.
You talking about my little sis, dude, you guys want to say I planned this shit, dude? I didn't plan this shit, dude. I changed my fucking life in 2019, I gave my life to God, dude. And you guys want to put me in this fucking position, dude? To be face to face with this fucking dude that did this shit to my little sis, dude. All this shit leading up, with the COs and asking about my family, this shit with the facility plan. You want to say I'm a hitman on the news and say I fucking planned this shit? Are you fucking joking, dude? I was supposed to go home in 2022, Why would I want to fucking put my whole life on the line to fucking get this dude? He can spend his life locked up, dude.
Yeah,
this shit's fucked up, dude, and they want to say I planned this shit, dude. Yeah. Okay, you talking the same institution, the same unit, the same pod, and the same cell as this dude. Okay? That's like hitting the jackpot in a casino 7 times.
That was Shane Goldsby almost exactly 1 year ago today, describing the extraordinary odds that what happened to him could be possible. He's a murderer. No one, including Goldsby, denies that, and today he found out just how long that murder would land him.
Years in prison for murdering his cellmate, the same man who raped his little sister and was serving time for that. But today, before the sentencing, Goldsby had the chance to speak.
I'm ashamed of my actions that led to this man's death, I was put into his man can't die.
Too emotional to get through it, Goldsby's attorney read the rest of the statement to the judge and the victim's family representative. A heartfelt apology for the murder of his cellmate, Bob Munger, who was serving 43 years in Airway Heights Prison for child rape. Goldsby's little sister was one of Munger's victims. Goldsby says when he realized who his cellmate was, he tried telling the guards they shouldn't be together. He says they didn't listen. Goldsby says he regrets his actions.
I cannot imagine what it would be like to lose a loved one in this kind of way. To his wife and his whole family, I apologize. I'm so sorry, and I hope you all will be able to heal from what I've caused.
There are currently over 17,000 people in prison in Washington State. 17,000 people. What are the odds that you get put in the cell not only with someone you dislike, not only with someone that you should never be around, but someone that had violated your family? Out of 17,000 people, you are put in the cell with a man that took the innocence of your younger sister time and time again. Took videos, took photos. And out of 17,000 people, you are put in the cell with that man. Is that possible? Or is it possible that after fighting with the guards, like this man's talked about, you can go back and watch the full interview, he had fought with these guards at other institutions, busted their shit, dug up in a couple of their mouths, made them look stupid. He is then taken off of PC and placed in the cell with the man that had raped his sister. That is not coincidence. There is no way that someone that the Department of Corrections disliked because of what he had done during his time in there was then placed in the cell with this man. This man went to the people, to the guards, to the counselors, to everybody and said, hey, get me out the cell with this man. Get me out of here. Do y'all know what he did? Here's what he did. We can't be in the same cell together. I'm going to hurt him. You've got to get me out the cell with him. I go home in less than 2 years. I can't be in a cell with him. And then the man goes into details telling him what he did. Telling him what had happened. Telling him details about what he did to his sister. He waited till them doors popped and snapped. Assaulted this man, beat him, kicked him, stomped him, punched him. And 3 days later, the old man died from the wounds in the fight. Dude was ultimately charged with his murder and given another 25 years for killing this child predator. A lot of people, he was an old man. I don't give a shit what he was. He was a man that just so happened to land in the cell. Just so happened to land in the cell with the older brother of this little girl. Was it justice? What would you have done if you were placed in that situation? To anybody out there watching this that has a family member, and most of us do, that's a sad thing. That's how sick the world is. There's not many people watching this that don't have a family member that's dealt with something like that. There's a lot of people watching this that have dealt with something like that, or that know somebody that's dealt with a person like that. What would you do if you were left alone in a room with that man? What would you do if you were given the opportunity to inflict pain on him or make him pay for what he had done? What would you do if after hearing what he had done over the phone, seeing it on the news, reading it in the papers, and then you end up in a cell with this man? I don't think the dude did anything that any human being, after hearing the details from this man, wouldn't have done. I don't think he did anything that most people in general, just knowing what he had done to their sister, would have done. This falls on the Department of Corrections. He is sentenced to 25 years for what he did that day to this man, for killing that man. What about the Department of Corrections? How are they not at fault for putting these two in a cell together? How are they not at fault for not moving him after he told them, I need to be moved? They didn't want him moved. They wanted him to do exactly what he did. The old man was used as a pawn to keep this dude in prison. Oh, you just going to beat us up and you think you're going home in 2022? Drop the pawn in the cell with him. Pour that extra amount of water in that pot that's going to make it boil over. And that's what happened. I do not think he is wrong in what he did. I do not think that he did anything that any of us wouldn't have done. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen predators become the prey. I've seen guys think, oh, I'm just going to get sent off to prison. I'll do this time, whatever. And then that charge they had comes out and somebody else found out about it and they decide, nah, you ain't going to be the victimizer. You become the victim. I've seen them same old men get victimized, not be able to eat, have to go to the hole and live their life in the hole because it came out what they had done. This guy just didn't get the opportunity to finish up his 40-some year sentence. 70-year-old man, he didn't never finish 40 years. My opinion, he shouldn't be free. He shouldn't be able to eat his meals every day in peace. He shouldn't be able to just kick back on his bunk and watch TV. Especially if a family member or someone with a heart falls in his direction. And that's what happened. It always ends bad. I've told y'all that. You think you can run around touching on little kids. You're going to do this and do that. And, well, I had my day in court. Guess I'll go to prison now. Yeah, you can go to prison, all right. This isn't an isolated incident when it comes to these type of things. Family members are going to come across you. You can Google man assaulted by family member, a victim while in prison. And these cases are going to come back time and time again. Like I told y'all with the story of Stacy, even though Dog wasn't in no way, shape, or form had anything to do with the crime that Stacy committed, Dog couldn't stand for it. Dog had to have Stacy. It ended with Stacy hanging himself in a cell. He didn't serve his sentence. This is a sick, twisted, fucked up world we live in. The justice system is not justice. It's not. You could kill somebody and get a life sentence, but you can completely take the life out of somebody and leave them alive and get less. In my opinion, justice was served on the day that that man was left laying on that ground. Take it how you want to. I know they say only God can judge me. That's a crock of shit. If only God can judge you, then what are judges? What are juries? What are they? A panel of your peers that you stand before that pass judgment on you. What is a judge? A man put in place that seems higher than you, that is put in a cloak and a robe, that sits up on a pedestal higher than you in court to put himself above you, that passes down judgment. And they pass it down according to these guidelines, according to what the law says you should be sentenced to. If you've done something like that, there should be no release date. Why would they possibly give you a release date so that you can get out and possibly do it again? What if he was 25 and given 40? Look at the statistics. Look at the numbers of men that have done this and got out and reoffended. And then the courts say, well, we gave him 30 years. Now he's 50, 60 years old. Well, now we're going to give him 40. You allow him to do it again. Homeboy didn't get a chance to do it again. Munger didn't get a chance to do it again. Munger laid up on critical condition in the infirmary at the prison and died. As he should have. If your family's watching, if the family of Munger's watching, these are just my opinions. With the man getting up there and apologizing to the family, do I feel like the apology was sent towards his family? No. I think the apology was sent towards the judge and the courts in hopes of not getting this amount of time. Yes, you're going to show remorse. Could I show remorse for doing that to somebody that had done something like that to my sister? No, I couldn't. I believe I would have got on the stand and said, rotten hell. Yes, I did it. And I would do it again. And to my sister, I love you. And I'm sorry I wasn't there to protect you to begin with. But in here, I did what I could. He will never do this to no one else, ever. People's convictions get overturned all the time. Bill Cosby is out of prison. R. Kelly is out of prison. People come home. And I'm not isolating or singling out Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. Whatever. They let them go. I'm just saying that people end up getting out. They could have found a flaw in this man's paperwork. He could have got the right lawyer, paid the right amount of money, because in doing that, you can go home. It's a fact. If you got the right amount of money and the right lawyer on your side, you can go home with these type of charges. Let him do 5, 10 years, and then we'll swoop in, hit this, and this. By then, it'll be out the media, and nobody will give a shit that he goes home, because so much other stuff is going on. We'll wait till something else big hits the headlines. till somebody else is victimized or somebody else is killed, and everybody's uprising about this, and then we'll slide him out the side door on his appeal process, and nobody will say nothing. Shit happens every day in America. They just don't put it in the headlines. I don't have a problem speaking on it. Do I feel bad for the old man? No. Do I feel bad for his family? I don't want to see any family take a loss or grief. But in dealing with somebody like that, you know he was a monster. If he was your dad, your uncle, your brother, whatever, you can't say that he wasn't a monster. There's no defending those type of actions. To the dude that did what he did, hey, salute, man. You are human. And I hope that some law is passed, something happens, and your conviction is overturned and you come home. That man had less than 2 years left, and they placed him in the cell. The same people that he'd been fighting, the same people that didn't like him, the same guards and administration and wardens and prisons that had a grudge against him for what he had been doing while he was locked up, placed him in the cell with this man. You make the call on why he was in that cell and if what happened could have been avoided. What should have happened when he told them guards what that man did? Policy is you keep them separate. They didn't. Put him back in the cell there. Oh man, we ain't trying to hit that. Go in the cell. They had hundreds of cells to put him in. Should have moved him right then and there, but they sat back and said, got your ass now. He couldn't walk the yard with everybody knowing him and that dude were in the cell together and what that dude had done. If him not disobeying the order in the beginning of the story I told you about that got him X'd out, that put a hit on him to begin with, wasn't enough, how can you walk around in prison with everybody going, man, that dude's in the cell with the dude that raped his little sister. Soft as cotton. I'd kill him. So you've got the pressures of not only being human and knowing what he did, you've got the pressures of the entire prison environment. Every other inmate around you saying, bro, you just gonna let that slide? I don't care when you go home. He did what? Man, I'd tear his whole head off. I'd cut his head off and leave it laying on a trash can. I'd do it in front of everybody. And that's what happened. He did it in front of everybody. He didn't do it in the cell when the doors were closed. He didn't do it out of view of the guards. He did it in the day room in front of everybody. Waited until they came out and he went in on him. He should have went in on him. In other countries, they'd have killed that man right there in the village. Take him and put him in one of these third world countries and let him rape a little girl out there, do something like that. They'd have beat that man to death with a stick, castrated him, and bashed him out with a rock. Straight facts. But hey, this is America. Only God can judge me, right? Who am I to judge? It's just my opinion. I'm human. This shit disgusts me, man. It disgusts me that these type of dudes are allowed to continue to walk around. And that when something happens to them, they don't say, well, he was a piece of shit. They say, that's the bad guy. The brother right there that took, matters into his own hands in the name of his little sister, that's the bad guy. We should keep him locked up for another 25 years. After that video, there's not a lot of good that I can leave y'all with. But I've always got to find a way. What I have to leave you with off of this is stay out of the lockup so that you can be there for your family members. I'm not saying you can protect everybody all the time. I'm not. Because if somebody wants to do something, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm saying be more involved in your little brothers and sisters' life. Be more involved in your children's life. Pay more attention to what's going on and who is around them. Him being in prison isn't going to stop a sick person from doing what they're doing. But if you're involved and you're there and you keep a closer eye on what they do day to day and who's around them and where they go, it slims down the chances. Like I said, you can't stop the sickness. You can't stop these people that are out there. But you can lessen the opportunities. You can put less of a chance on it if you're free and you're here. Stay out of the lockups. Take your little brother, take your little sister up under your wing and show them the right way to do things. Take them to the park. Take them to the mall. Play a major part in their lives. Every moment you spend with them is a moment that someone like Munger doesn't get to. Don't put yourself in positions to get locked up and stripped away from your family to where you can't be there to protect them. They need us. My sisters, my brother, they need me. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to do everything I can, even though they're grown, to have their back in this life. Growing up, me and my brothers and sisters were tight. You fought one of us, you messed with one of us, you messed with all of us. And even though there were times that I couldn't protect them, you better believe I always gave it my best. I wore so many ass whoopings, so many beat downs from my dad. The man that's supposed to protect us was the same man that hurt us, the same man that feared us. I wore beat down after beat down after beat down after beat down for my brothers and sisters. They would do something and I would lie. I would step up and say, I did it. Because I didn't want to see them take the beatings. I knew they were smaller than me and they couldn't take those beatings the way I could. And I could barely take them. This is a grown man beating a child. But I was there. And in my eyes, in those moments, I protected them. In the years of me leaving and being locked up, they would take those beatings. And I always felt like it was my fault. It's not my fault. If you're a fallen victim to someone like that, it is not your fault. It falls on the person that did it. I empower everyone to make the right decisions in life and to be there more for the people that need you. To not have to deal with this while incarcerated. Be there so that you can help prevent it before it ever happens. Crazy world we live in, man. But I'm going to get off this topic. Anyway, these jails, institutions, detention centers, prisons, they're all just crazy worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. It's all my real ones. And there are some real ones watching because y'all still watching me. Y'all know how we do, man. Salute.